Welcome all to our session today, live at NADA, on the front office and driving dealership challenges into opportunities. I'm Justin Falk, Vice President of Market Intelligence and Commercialization at CDK. Joining me today, we have two very distinguished guests, Matt Muilenburg, Chief Product Officer at Impel, and Amber Good, Lead Product Marketer of CRM at CDK. And we're going to be talking about how AI can help solve many dealerships' top challenges. That's ranging from attracting new customers to lead management, and how some AIs can reduce the friction points and the impact to the customer. Before I begin, though, I would just like to reflect on AI's impact to modern retail over this last year. We've seen AI hit the dealerships like a lightning strike. In 2025 alone, we've seen adoption of AI grow from 28% to 39%. According to our latest CDK AI study. We've also seen that of those dealers that have adopted AI, 48%, nearly half of all those dealers, using AI in the front office. Additionally, we find that virtual assistants are the #1 AI application in variable ops, and that 52% of those dealers using AI in the front office find that it's most impactful in their lead to close ratio. Amber, what do you see that's driving this adoption of AI in the front office?
Several things. Consumers are experiencing the highest car prices that they have in years, so their expectations are much higher. They want to have a great experience from day one. When they submit a lead and they've spent weeks or months researching, they're expecting to get an intelligent response back. Not only a quick response, but an intelligent response as well. And dealerships have been trying to automate for years just because of the amount of opportunities that they always have coming in and the lack of staff or the lack of intelligence within the staff of the processes that they want them to follow. And so this is just coming together, and the dealerships are seeing the value right away that AI can get to the customers quickly, consistently, and intelligently. And it's making a huge shift in all of those gains for the dealerships in the front office.
Matt, what are you seeing in terms of perspective on how dealerships are using AI?
Yeah, first, Justin, thank you. It's great to be here with you today. Really enjoy this opportunity. There's really three emerging things that have happened over the last year. The first is an understanding that process has to change in the store. When you introduce AI into the journey, the role of the salesperson and the floor changes as well. And if you don't address that up front, what you end up in is a situation where the sales team's trying to compete against that AI or disable that AI and take it out of the flow altogether. So to Amber's point that it needs to be quick but also quality, when the humans step in, they delete that, they don't make that happen. So process has to change. The second thing we've seen in 2025 in particular and rolling into 2026 is the need to invest in the training of the AI itself. The AI is capable out of the box, but it doesn't know anything about your dealership, it doesn't know anything about your brands, it doesn't know anything about how you interact with your community. That takes constant training. Just like you train your salespeople in the Monday morning meeting every week, you have to train your AI every week. And there are emerging topics. Tariffs last year was a great example of that. If we didn't train the AI about the tariff question, it didn't know what to do with it. So there's this need to be continually involved with the AI and helping it get better. And then the third thing we saw emerge in 2025, 3 years, 4 years into this journey for us, is dedicated staff in the store. An AI quarterback that's responsible for that human on the loop activity that comes in, the triage of that activity and making sure that it's assigned to the right person or taking the right action against it.
It's quite interesting. Speaking of staff in the store, our latest friction point study highlighted a couple key highlights or takeaways that I'd like to discuss for a moment. One is that 58% of all customers experienced a major problem in the store with staff or another issue before they were able to complete their deal, which is significantly up compared to last year. Also that for every hour that it takes to deliver and complete the deal, that NPS drops by 13 points. And for some that may not be familiar with NPS, it's just a common indicator or metric for customer loyalty and satisfaction. Basically, would you recommend that brand or service to someone else? And in previous years, and this is why I'm calling it out, we did find that, the shorter it took to deliver a vehicle, that NPS remained higher. but there wasn't a whole lot of fall off. And this year, it's this steep vertical drop off where by the time you get past 2 hours, you're starting to approach almost negative territory. You've got very unhappy customers. And that's despite hiring staff, which is up year over year, and the BDC in sales almost 80%. So it kind of speaks to, it's not always can be solved by people. You may have to look to alternative tools or other things to streamline communication and sales. Amber, speaking of that, what are some of the most significant challenges that you see sales associates facing today?
Yeah, we spoke about everyone shopping for longer, right? So as they're shopping for longer, they're submitting more leads, which is causing this huge inundation of additional opportunities every month for the stores. But tale as old as time, we've always wanted more leads. We don't necessarily know what to do with them once we get them. So what we're seeing, the challenges with those dealership personnel is that they have simply too many things that they can get to every single day, and the quality diminishes every single time. So they're automating, sending a bunch of canned responses, which is leaving the customers more frustrated because I've just spent weeks picking out my favorite new car that I want to buy, and then everything drops off for me whenever I reach out. Knowing that the quality is important, also hiring new staff and having new people come in, it's a challenge for that front office because they continually have new salespeople, and we're trying to get good quality responses out, but they're not necessarily getting trained, and that's leading to a lot of issues in the front office. They're looking for a better customer experience from the beginning, and it's falling off pretty substantially, and we know that they're only following up for 48 hours in the front office, but the customers are shopping for weeks. So giving that terrible experience once they finally reach out about that new car.
Yeah. Speaking of that experience or that handoff, Matt, how does long-term follow-up impact the conversation? And tell us a little bit more, as you've shared with us previously, a little bit about how it's hard for humans to maintain that consistent follow-up over time.
Yeah, I saw a study last week, and there's lots of studies on this topic, but it said that the average time to buy after a lead is submitted is about 18 days. You think about the humans in the store, they've got this constant influx of new leads that are coming to them, and there's this human bias towards recency must be better. And so the humans tend to interact with the new leads that came in, and after 48 hours, 72 hours, they stop doing the work to nurture those leads. Well, if average days to purchase is 18, there's a lot of time between that third day and that 18th day when purchase is actually going to happen. The AI fills that gap. It will manage that lead, in this case for a 51-day cycle with that consumer. So you have an opportunity to continue to try to engage with them. The other thing to keep in mind is when humans are responding to leads, there tends to be latency in that response. And the studies for years have shown that if you can get back to somebody within 1 minute, you've got a very high likelihood that they're going to engage in a conversation. By the time you get to 5 minutes, they've moved on to something else, somewhere else. They're probably away from their computer. Well, in an AI-first sales environment, your AI will react to that lead within moments of it hitting the system. So the likelihood that you're going to gain engagement on that initial contact, it's just much higher. So the benefit of the system is quality. It's quality that happens quickly for that customer when they're still in that mindset, when they're still ready to engage. And that can take the metric of time to sale down inside the dealership. And I think that's a really critical number.
Yeah, that's a really interesting challenge that AI can help turn into an opportunity. Amber, where do you feel the biggest opportunity is to transform with regards to office performance?
Speed, quality, and consistency. So we know that speed to the customer is important, but most importantly is the quality whenever you get the speed. So Ava allows you to train inside of our CRM so that not only are they getting a quick response, but they're getting a quality response. And following up for a full 51 days allows for that consistency to catch them at the 18-day mark whenever they're still in the market and shopping. That consistency, humans just aren't giving them right now, so the AI is able to close the gap for the dealerships that are utilizing it.
Right. And Matt, tell us a little bit more about the results that dealers are seeing from some of the AI-enabled workflows.
I mean, there's complexity in this story, but at the heart of it, you see a 30 to 50% increase in lead conversion rate, lead engagement rate with the dealership. That's pretty dramatic when you can get that much more customer engaging with you. Now that doesn't happen just because of the AI, it goes back to that training that I was talking about. One of the things we really observed over the last year is when you can hone that AI, when you can train that AI to talk to that customer with the context that they have, Think about the ADF lead that comes into the CRM system. So much of the information is packed into that notes field inside the CRM. Well, what does the human in the store not do? They don't read those notes fields, or they don't know how to process what's in that note field. Well, when you lean into training your AI to understand the source and the subsource for that lead, and that AI can take the context of what's packed into that ADF space, you get this opportunity to have a conversation that's very dialed into where that consumer is. Hey Justin, I saw that you were just in our digital retailing process. I saw that you got a trade in for your car. I'd love to help you move the process forward. Here's the 3 vehicles that you were interested in. What else can I do for you? Just quality of engagement, it goes up.
Right. But let's also now shift the conversation about how and where the AI is integrated. Tell us a little bit, Amber, about what you found in terms of why AI inside CRM matters.
It's where everyone's living in the front office. They're living in the CRM all day, every day, and by allowing them to stay in the software that they're familiar with, the workflows that they're already used to, and allowing it to actually work alongside the salespeople, the engagement's better, everyone's using it throughout their daily workflows like they normally would. Gives everyone a better experience. For example, Ava in our CRM, it works alongside the salespeople responding to their leads. It'll also notify them once a customer does get engaged to allow them to focus on the things that are in front of them in the store, the customer that's physically test driving with them without losing any of those leads off the side, but still allows them to get that notification no different than they would from their CRM anyways, letting them know that Ava's handled all of their leads for the day, scheduled them an additional appointment, and allows them to stay in that software that they're used to without having to give them something else to learn.
Right. And Matt, from a staffing perspective, how are you seeing AI help the dealerships handle performance and staffing constraints?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the AI, it can gain access to all of the knowledge that you wanted to have about your dealership. And it can engage that customer in a meaningful conversation that leads to the setting of an appointment or the generation of the deeper questions where you need to get a human involved in that process. So what we really see happening is the sales team gets to focus on the higher value things like outbound conversations, outbound phone calls to consumers. You nurture the lead to a point where they're ready for that conversation to happen, and you bridge that call out to them. The people are doing the higher value job in the store. So this isn't a thing about AI replacing staff. It's really about AI augmenting what the humans are able to do and freeing them up to do more of the high quality, high value, human-centric activities that really create that trust and transparency with the consumer that ultimately leads to a transaction.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's not just throwing numbers or gaining additional staff to replace things or replace other people's work. It's actually then about, like you had mentioned, augmenting the staff so they can get to those high valued activities.
Yeah.
So in some case, it's not just people, it's the tech that's actually becomes part of the solution.
Correct.
Yep. Amber, you touched a little bit on Ava and CRM. What makes Ava different than other generic or a la carte AI tools out there?
Yeah, Matt touched on training your AI and making sure that you're engaging with it regularly. And one of the differences for Ava is it's actually built on 3 different language models. And the one model that's most important, you get to control. So the dealership has control of their own knowledge bank and their own first quality response, where they can actually train and engage with their AI as often as they would like to update anything relevant to their dealership at any given time, so that Ava in real time is referencing anything that they need them to as customers are asking questions to keep it relevant and up to date for everything that they need. Huge differentiator for Ava in our CRM to be able to do that. No different than hiring a new salesperson and you want to bring them on and train them, you can do that with Ava inside of the CRM. That's huge for our dealers.
Yeah. And Matt, how does the AI virtual assistant improve the customer experience? Like, what's the impact to the customer? We've been talking about the dealership, but how's the customer benefit from this?
Yeah, for sure. Amber talked about first quality response and what a unique innovation that CDK brought to market by introducing that across the install base for Ava. When you look at the typical dealership, there are 10,500 different lead sources that are coming into the CRM systems. 10,500,
wow.
Like, why so many? It's crazy. The reality is every one of those 10,500 deserves to be spoken to in the context that's relevant to that particular source, because that's where the consumer is. You want to meet them where they are. So the first quality response opportunity, the opportunity to go in and train the AI to understand that when this lead comes from TrueCar and it's identified with USAA, if you can recognize that service member by their rank in your reply, well, you're making a very personalized message back to that customer. They feel like they're engaging with something that's more real than the typical conversation with a car dealership where it's, hey, I got your lead, when can I get you into the store? So quality goes up overall. It allows the consumer to be more in charge of the process because they can engage in a dialogue with that AI that leads down the path that they want to go to. And because the AI is equipped to provide the answers, they're getting real answers to the questions that they have. At the end of the day, I think that develops trust, and that's the core to selling vehicles. If you can establish trust with your consumer, they're much more likely to come in and buy from your dealership.
Great. Well, as we begin to wrap up this conversation, I'd like to shift it towards the future. Matt, what do you see being the biggest opportunity for dealers that adopt AI now?
Yeah, dealers should spend time thinking about the role of the BDC or the salesperson in their dealership and focusing in on how do I create career paths around AI implementation in my store that provide a growth trajectory for my people. You look at a typical BDC and the turnover in that department is about 100% every 7 months. That's a treadmill. You're constantly retraining people. It means that they never get good at it. So if we can transition away from that, and instead of filling a bunch of bodies into seats where people are unhappy and churn out quickly, and we can turn that into a career path where people have an opportunity to engage and learn and do more, you're enabling your dealership to provide a more professional experience for the long term with your customers. And I think that's really important. There's other changes that will impact throughout the dealership over time as a result of that AI. I said this at the start as well. We saw this beginning trend in 2025 of dealers having a dedicated AI quarterback. I think that's going to be a core theme that resonates across the entire industry this year. You have to put somebody in that seat who has responsibility for the training and continuous development of that silicone staff, the same way you've got a training team that's working with the humans in your store as well.
Makes sense. Amber, what are some of the things that you could share that dealers should consider in thinking about how AI can help solve some of their top challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. Automation without the intelligence behind it doesn't give them better lead management. So looking at how AI can actually work alongside their salespeople and work with their dealership to reach out to customers in a meaningful, intelligent, quality way, answering the questions, understanding the intent and the lead form that came in, only makes their salespeople that much better. It allows them to sharpen those skills whenever they're making phone calls and we're actually with customers in the front office. And it gets their foot on the right step whenever they're with their customers, because they've had such a great experience from step one whenever they submitted a lead until they showed up in the showroom. So really leaning into all of those tasks that they have each day and getting them to the finish line a little bit faster and with a better experience.
Great. Well, thanks for all the great points and insights from you two today. If I'm trying to summarize correctly, I want to just highlight a couple takeaways that I think I've heard you say. Dealers that embrace AI now will outperform dealers that sit on the sidelines and wait. They're going to be converting more leads. They're going to be delivering faster experiences, very important to the customer, operating more efficiently, and meeting customers where they are, whether that be, anytime, anywhere, at home, at the dealership. And I also think I heard that resonated very strongly is that having AI embedded directly within the application and working natively really helps turn the dealer's challenges more into growth opportunities. It's not just something that's the future, it's what high-performing dealerships are using today to win. So thank you both for those valuable insights. It's clear that dealers are making progress in certain areas, and there's still plenty of opportunities to enhance the experience with AI. And to our audience, thank you for your attention today. We hope these insights will help change your approach to leveraging AI in the future of automotive retail experience.